Sean Cola with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. And today I'm coming at you from the top of my roof here in February, actually, because I want to give you guys a winter garden tour. I am located here in Las Vegas, Nevada, the desert, you know, and definitely people think during the hot summers you can't grow in Las Vegas because it's too hot. Well, I've been making summer tour videos for years on this YouTube channel. Links down below to my past summer tour videos. That being said, they think, oh man, in Vegas it's a desert, you can't grow anything because it's too cold in the winter. Because Star Nursery, the local nursery, doesn't sell veggie starts, plant starts, you know, in September, October, November, December, or even January. Which actually sucks. So I actually got to go out of town to buy my plant starts or start seeds yourself early. Nonetheless, we are here in February and I have finally my fully winter garden planted out, and that's what I want to show you guys. Every winter I've been growing food since I've been living here, which has been a number of years. Once again, links down below to my winter tour videos so you guys can see what I grow every winter. Right? If you guys live in Vegas, these are very valuable videos because I want you guys to pay attention to the specific crops I grow during the winter and during the summer. And if you grow some of those similar crops, you will also be successful. Some of the crops that I grow year after year have been time proven and grow really well. That's why I continue to grow them. I always try to experiment with new varieties whenever I could find them. But this year is a pretty much standard winter garden for me. So anyways, and the other thing is most people in Vegas may have like a desert landscaping or rock landscaping like my next door neighbor. But you know, here's the thing guys, we all need to eat. And whether you want to go to the local Costco, Sam's Club, Smith's, grocery store, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, whatever, and buy your food, somebody else had to grow it, right? So my goal in my life is to become more of a producer instead of consumer. The more I could produce my own things, such as making a compost pile that I did yesterday and a new composter, I don't have to buy compost from somebody else. The more I could grow my own food, all my own greens, all the salad greens I could eat for the entire winter and excess to freeze dry and store, ferment, right? I don't have to be buying these things. And that's gonna be a lot better, in my opinion, for you, your pocketbook, as well as your health, and also for sustainability and the planet. Of course, you're also gonna get the highest quality food. And it's very easy to grow here. You just need to set things up right, get good soil, put it in an irrigation system. The sun comes up every day. It gives my plants light. I don't have to deal with lighting if I'm growing indoors. And the plants get stressed out due to the cold weather. I think we got down to 26 degrees this winter. That kind of messed up some of my young baby lettuces, but all the more mature plants were unaffected. Anyways, let's get off the roof and take you on a tour bed by bed. I have 24 raised beds down there, and we're gonna go over every single raised bed and what I'm growing this winter. All right, so we're down on the ground, and I wanna show you guys my garden this winter. On this side of my yard, which is basically half my yard, I have these round circular raised beds. They're 4 foot in diameter. The reason why I got them is because they were actually on clearance on Walmart for like 10 bucks. Like many years ago. They've held up pretty well. Every once in a while I crack one, but I have a few replacements. Nonetheless, let's go over every bed, bed by bed, okay? So we'll start right here. All right, so this first bed here has tree collards in the middle I planted. Then it has a mix of mild mustard greens, including the Ms. America, which is the purple Mizuna, one of my favorites. I also have the tot soy in here. And then I have the Choi, which is kind of like a bok choy, all right? These brassicas, or mustard greens that are mild, they grow very fast and can be some of the first to bolt, but they also, because they grow very fast, they also provide a lot of food. I also love these brassicas because they have a very mild flavor. Like to me, I could just put this in like a lettuce mix or a salad and they taste great. So this one is one of my favorites that I grow every winter time. This one is called Komatsuna. So Komatsuna is very nutritious. It's actually one of the most nutritious greens I grow. It actually is kind of related to like a bok choy, but they kind of grow more erect. They even grow faster, and good or bad, they bolt a little bit quicker. So these are actually starting to bolt. So when it bolts, I kind of eat these like broccoli. I basically cut them off. You could eat them raw. I like to also steam them up. Recently, I just made like a hummus from scratch and dipped them in the hummus. They were totally great. But yeah, there's lots of leaves. These are prolific growers. So I mean, if you're choosing your seeds to grow for the spring, definitely choose the Komatsuna. It'll be one of your first greens you'll be harvesting. And to remind you guys, I am in a zone 9 here. So I have a large container here. I think this is like a 25-gallon. In the middle of this, if you look carefully, I have an Olla sunk down in there, which is actually full. And then around in here, I basically planted, these are like starts that I planted. So I planted some fava bean seeds. I put some random beet, dinosaur kale, celery, and I moved a parsley here that I had to move out of a bed that just kind of sprouted in my garden on its own. And then here I have some special arugula from Italy, actually. So that's gonna be kind of fun. All right, this next bed I have 36 plants, and that's my winter spacing. And I got the red Russian kale. This is one of my favorite kales I like to grow. Red Russian down below, and then here above we got the Chomolla kale. That's from Josh Jameson down in Florida, which has been lasting pretty good. This is probably the best one. I have lost a few of them, but this was a cutting, and I need to soon make new cuttings after it is done going to flower so I can continue to propagate it. All right, this next bed, you know, I'm known for growing my greens. That's my YouTube channel, and I want you guys to grow your greens. I mean, if you guys grow a tomato plant, you guys got to put the tomato plant in. It has to grow all the leaves, the stems, the vines. It has to get the flowers have to get pollinated, then you finally get the fruit. When you grow greens, such as these are collard greens, Georgia collards, you can literally pick each leaf and eat it. Georgia collards, like many of the plants that I'm growing this time of year, are in the brassica family. They contain isothiocyanates. The compounds in the brassica family plants can help your eyes with the zeaxanthin and lutein, as well as help the phase 2 liver detoxification and help keep you young. And so yeah, greens are what I grow majority. How I use these is I will harvest them, dehydrate them into like kale chips, make salads, and then freeze dry them, make cooked veggies, make fresh salads, juice them, as well as vacuum blend them so I can get as many greens into me as possible. My daily goal is to get 2 pounds of greens in me these days. Normally I could easily consume over a pound just through my morning green juice. All right, this next bed, we kind of had some crop failures. I did plant some nasturtiums in here, native Alaska mix, but it got too cold, so I lost them. So I think all we got left in here are some of the bloody dock, which I love so much, red vein sorrel. We got a few dinosaur kale here, bolting lettuce. And also I got the Japanese parsley, which is actually doing quite well. It's actually reshooting up, so I'm excited about that. I did try to grow this Asian vegetable here that's frost sensitive, and you could see what happened after we hit 26. Hopefully it might come back from the roots, but I'm not super hopeful. All right, this is another bed I have growing, and it's basically a fabric pot, like a 4-foot diameter fabric pot, and basically it's been taken over by a rosemary plant, and some sage is still hanging on in there. But basically this is just a big rosemary bush. I probably need to cut it back a lot. I always cut it back so my other plants could grow. I do like that this time of year in February it is flowering, and pretty much daily I see hummingbirds coming to my backyard where it's actually getting the nectar from the rosemary this time of year, as well as my fava beans. Next up we got a small lettuce bed that is going to bolt actually. Some of these were not the healthiest plants, and these plants were put in a little bit too early, so they are always been a little bit stunted. I did fill in with a few other plants later that seem to be doing all right, but yeah, this is definitely not my most productive bed. Between the 26-degree weather that you can see a lot of the leaf burn on here, and just the plants were just not healthy from the get-go. The starts weren't super healthy. This is what happens. All right, this next bed is my bed of parsley. I like curly parsley. I'm not a big fan of flat leaf. I have a few flat leaf plants. But parsley, guys, is a superfood. I use it as a salad green. My favorite way to eat the parsley is I sprout buckwheat, add parsley, mash up avocados, and put some pressed garlic in there. And it's one of my favorite meals. But yeah, I love my parsley, adding it to juices, adding it to salads, adding it to blended smoothies, adding it to, you know, dressings I make. I love having parsley on hand this time of year. And in this climate, parsley may last even into the summer. It generally lasts a lot longer than some of my brassicas that tend to bolt a little bit sooner. And of course, in the middle, for nice color, I have the Ms. America or the purple Mizuna that I love so much. All right, you guys can see this next bed. I love it. It's growing fully out. I've been harvesting off this quite often. It may look like lettuce to you, but this stuff is not lettuce. To me, I eat it like lettuce because it's similar and actually even more nutritious than standard green lettuce. This is a whole bed of Napa cabbage, Chinese cabbage, Napa cabbage. You know, I could turn it into sauerkraut, or I just like to eat it fresh, honestly. I'll pick a lot of the greens because they grow so quickly in the winter to steam or eat as salads. Yeah, one of the faster growers and really productive and lush. So this bed has mostly Swiss chard, and it's rainbow Swiss chard, 36 plants, plus I also have the rhubarb Swiss chard. They may also grow through the summer because they don't mind the heat. Also have some Dinosaur Kale, as well as some white Siberian Kale, which is the sweetest kale I grow in the winter. I planted a tree collard that I did from cutting, or a seedling, here in the middle, and there's a few garlic plants. And then we'll just move over to the side here. This next bed needs to get trimmed back. It's basically my mint. My mint was growing really well until we had a 26-degree day, and then it kind of started to get burned up. So generally in the wintertime, I just cut it to the ground, and then it gets all new emerging growth in the spring. And basically I have mint to put in all my juices, all my smoothies. I just love having mint. I also have a leek growing out of this, and I formerly had a tree collard plant growing out of this bed that I recently lost over the summer. All right, this next bed has green beret spinach, about 36 plants. Also has a purple Mizuna here in the middle. I love growing spinach. I mean, spinach to me is like growing tomatoes because the flavor difference is so huge. Like, I can't really buy spinach from the store. The stuff that comes in the bins at Costco that's organic tastes chalky and kind of gross. But my homegrown spinach tastes amazing, so much sweeter and tender without that crazy chalky feeling. This is the green beret spinach. This next bed, honestly, guys, is just like overgrown. I have not been wanting to deal with it. There's some mint kind of coming out of it. We got a big lavender plant coming out of it. We have also my hot and spicy oregano coming out of it, and like growing over it is actually from a little pot is my tree collards. And yeah, this one also has the bindweed coming up through it, and I need to basically just rip everything out and just probably start new after getting all the weeds out because it's just too crazy. All right, this next bed had basically a cauliflower that actually made it through the summer, but now it's not performing well. And this also has mostly blue dazzling Dinosaur Kale with some standard kale. You guys can see the blue dazzling really showing its color. In the wintertime, the coldness brings out the color of the plants. And so, but the problem is with this, it was planted early, right? It's one of the first beds I ripped out. I think I probably planted in October, maybe late September. So it's still a bit warm, so we got some premature bolting on it. Definitely not the best, but hey, I still harvest and eat the leaves, and we'll probably clear cut all the leaves off, make some kale chips, or blend it into a smoothie, or use it to juice, and then replant this with another green in the next few weeks. All right, this next bed I have 36 plants of broccoli, and you guys can see I'm making the broccoli. Some of the plants are making broccoli, so this one's about to be harvested because I like to get it when it's like just starting to open but not getting too open. I have the standard green broccoli and then a purple English broccoli. All right, this next bed we have 36 plants of melody spinach. As you guys can see, some of it's starting to bolt, so I've been harvesting the bolting, and hopefully some of the smaller young plants will still produce well for me. I have an arugula bolting here in the middle, a Mizuna bolting, and a few random lettuce plants that were existing in this bed that I need to harvest, like some kind of head lettuce. Probably came up from seed that is actually also starting to bolt since the weather has been kind of crazy. We got down to 26, but then recently we got into like the mid 70s, and the plants are like kind of freaking out a little bit. This next bed is a bed of standard cauliflowers. You guys can see I got some cauliflower coming on. This one's about to get harvested because it's opening up too much. I've already harvested a bunch of cauliflower here, and if I harvest the cauliflower, basically I'll probably end up cutting it out and then planting a new start, because I could probably still get cauliflower if I plant them now, because these were planted very early and the plants were probably a bit stunted. When I planted them, they are basically going to flower and making cauliflower a little bit early for me. All right, this next bed was recently planted. It doesn't get a lot of water because it's at the end of my drip line, so it's also bolting. And so this is basically the standard green Dinosaur Kale with the standard green curly kale. And so once again, this is bolting, so I probably need to cut all this out and then replant something else. So in this bed, I have Scarlet Bor Kale. It was actually planted early, And actually it's doing quite well aside from having some challenges with the aphids because we did not get too cold this year. I have 36 red Bor Kales and it's been producing really nice for me. I really love to grow the purple vegetables, purple colored leaves. Link down below to my video, why every gardener should grow purple vegetables. They're significantly more nutritious than the standard green ones, so I encourage you to select the red vegetables or purple vegetables whenever you can. All right, so I have a bed here that's about maybe 1.5 feet by 12 feet long. This whole back wall, stays nice and warm, collects the sun during the day, and even though today is 50, when I put my hand on the wall, it's nice and warm. Because we did get too cold, I put old school Christmas tree lights that are incandescent. So my hope was that if I put the lights on it and it gets too cold, the lights will heat up the air and will keep the plant alive. And you guys can see it kind of worked. Over some areas, the leaves are still good, but in some areas where there are no lights, the leaves totally got fried and burnt. You know, we could come over here where there's no lights, totally got burnt. So this is the longevity spinach, which actually is one of the most cold-tolerant summer leafy greens I grow. You know, they're from the tropics. At 33, they're fine. At 32, they start to freeze and they get messed up. So they're really, a lot of tropicals at 33 or even 38, 39 would be jacked up. This will continue to live through it. But yeah, it did get too cold. Also, of course, I have some kind of tree collard coming up from seed. And I got a whole bunch of green onions that I probably should harvest a little bit more often. All right, this first bed is approximately 4 feet by, I don't know, maybe 14 feet. And it has mostly my Jerusalem artichokes that I've been digging up. And I've been freeze drying them. Also has some Egyptian spinach that I still need to harvest the seeds from because there's nothing planted here. I need to dig up the Egyptian spinach. Also planted some purple tree collards that are growing pretty nicely here, and a few other tree collards, one from a green from like a few years ago, and then one from seed that grew, and then pretty much I have an ashwataba here, but I need to basically harvest all my Jerusalem artichokes, and I was going to replant this in other more perennial style vegetables. All right, this bed is my lettuce bed for the season. I have nearly 100 lettuce plants in here. And this bed I have had some losses due to the moisture levels being too much. And so I had to replace a whole bunch of plants, probably so far about 8 or 9 of them. And otherwise they're growing pretty good. As you guys could notice, I'm not growing too many green lettuces. Most of my lettuces tend to be red pigmented, which taste like lettuce, but are also more nutritious. All right, this next bed has about, once again, about 100 plants. And this is my mild mustard green and mustard green bed. So this next bed has basically mustard greens, both full strength and mild. So I have the purple Mizuna, I have the green Mizuna, and then I have the large red leaf mustard greens, and I have the deep purple because I was at the nursery. I was like, which one of these plants will have deeper purple leaves? The red one or the purple one? So I'm like, I don't know. I bought both of them so I could see what happens. Mustard greens are amazing for me. I like to they always generally get cooked unless I'm making a salad. Then I might put a few small baby leaves in there just for a little bit of kick, some heat. And I encourage you guys, when you guys cook your mustard greens, you want to harvest them. You want to chop them up and let them sit a little bit so the enzymes could get active and make some anti-cancer compounds, and let them sit for, I don't know, a good 5-10 minutes before cooking them, so you have more cancer-fighting potential in your greens. So yeah, I love these. And of course, when they bolt, I just basically cut off the bolting tops, and those are some of my favorite things to cook in the Instant Pot in the springtime. All right, this next bed is, I don't even know, like 30 feet long or something, and it has basically edible flowers, mostly edible violas with some edible pansies. It also has basically cilantro as a second row, and the final row going up the trellis, as you guys can see, are the sugar snap peas. I love growing the sugar snap peas. Sometimes even in February I have them fruiting. This year I started them a little bit late, didn't get the jump on it, so maybe by March I'll be in pretty good production of sugar snap peas. All right guys, I want to show you guys a crop failure, because it always happens. I mean, I don't keep everything alive, some things don't make it. So this was longevity spinach that I planted like last spring in like April, May. It grew all summer, did great. And then it was doing great until we got down to a 26-degree day. Before that happened, I put up these Christmas tree lights. Once again, they're all on like optic sensor, so when it gets nighttime, it comes on automatically, so I don't have to deal with it. And then you could see that, you know, where the lights weren't, the leaves got fried, burned because of the cold. And in some areas where there were like the lights, it made it. This is like in the center of my garden, so it gets a lot cold, more cold than the walls that retain the heat that stay warmer. So I guess it was mostly an experiment that I found out that, hey, probably if you're gonna grow some of the more frost sensitive things, cold sensitive things, put them near the walls. So probably I'll let these regrow a little bit, and then I'll cut them and do cuttings of them, and then move them to another place in my yard if they do make it through the springtime and start to push some new growth. All right, this next bed is 4 foot by 8 foot, and it has mostly tree collards in it. This is a recently planted green tree collard. I got a purple tree collard, another green tree collard. You know, this bed used to have tree collards that were up to 12 feet tall, but over last summer I lost another one. So as I lose them, I plant new ones, and then they seem to grow a few years. If I do tend to cover them or shade them off, put a shade cloth in the summertime, they tend to be a little more resilient, because normally I will lose them in the summertime. I'll never lose them in the wintertime. The summertime, it just gets too hot for them and stresses them out too much, and maybe if I'm not watering enough, they can't handle it. All right, this next bed is a 4 by 8. I have some Dinosaur Kale that was actually summer planted. Once again, bolting due to the weather. I also have some more purple Mizuna. And then this bed also has more of the Tatsoi growing in it. And then I got one more area of the garden that I want to show you. All right, this next part of my garden is a more tropical area that really thrives in the summer. You guys could see my moringa tree. Definitely didn't like it. It was surviving until we got the 26-degree day. And then a lot of the top growth lost its life. I think it looks like still green down to here, so this should re-sprout. You can see my chia totally got frost damage or cold damage. All this stuff didn't make it. It's just like frozen, messed up. But if you guys look down the stalk, when it came down to the main wood, not the new growth, looks like it's still alive, so it should probably come back every year. Pretty much it has come back for me. This year I have 2 varieties of chia, the standard narrow leaf, and then I have a wide leaf here. They seem to be both still alive, so hopefully they'll come back. All right, so you guys can see at the bottom here, I also have more of the longevity spinach. That's actually perfect shape. I put lights against the wall, also because it's near the back of the yard, closer to the ground. It doesn't get as cold as like in the middle of the yard that's like higher up. Right here, of course, I have my kumquat tree that's in a big 15-gallon pot. Been enjoying some kumquats off that. And then, let's see, I want to show you this last area of my garden. Over here we have a jalapeno pepper. Some of the plants still alive. This actually kept alive over last winter. It didn't quite make it through this winter, but I still got peppers on there. And then this last area, guys, looks fun. It's edible flower arrangement for the most part. We have some edible marigolds, and as you guys can see, it's in the shape of a heart, right? Now, why would I plant something in the shape of a heart? Well, that's because this is a tribute to Oakley Man. A lot of you guys have been watching me a while. Knew Oakley. He's been in a lot of my videos. Unfortunately, the last week or two he passed, so I had to dig a hole, and this is where he's going to be laying to rest. And so we planted a tribute with the edible flowers for him to always remember him. And every time I come out to the garden, I still talk to him. He's still alive in spirit. So yeah. So now flowers lay there, and he will have forever peace. He had an enlarged heart and was having problems breathing and was almost like suffocating, choking, coughing on his last days, which was quite hard and sad to deal with. So for those of you guys that have pets, you know, please love them and cherish them while they're still here for the short time they have. And if you are considering getting a pet, I would encourage you to check out local shelters of animals that were abandoned or, you know, don't have a home, so you can rescue them. All right, guys, so that is what I am growing this winter season in my garden. And if you guys live in Vegas, I encourage you to grow in the winter. It's actually a lot easier to grow in the winter than the summertime because we don't get all the high heat and things generally go pretty well. Also because it's a little more humid in the winter than arid. You still need to water, however. It's a lot easier, although maybe I have a few more pest pressures in the wintertime, especially if it doesn't get too cold. Like I've had crazy aphid issues this winter because we haven't gotten too cold, unfortunately, and I continue just to spray them off with water. For the most part, I haven't used any kind of even organic sprays on them to this point. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode, learning what I'm growing this winter season, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Also be sure to share this with other people that live in desert climates, that live in Zone 9A, that live in Las Vegas, so that they could see what they could grow and how successful they can be. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss my new and upcoming episodes. I've come in every 5 to 7 days. You never know what new garden teachings I'll be sharing with you, what new farms I'll be visiting, or what new products I'll be disclosing to you. And I wouldn't want you to miss any single episode, so make sure you click the bell to get notified as many videos come out. And finally, be sure to check out past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 1,700 episodes at this time on the channel dedicated to teach you guys how to grow your own food, high quality food at home. Also, links down below to some of my other previous years' tour videos so you guys can see what I grow every winter and summertime, so you too can be successful growing in one of the most extreme climates in the country. So with that, my name is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep on growing.